Excellent. So today I'm really excited. Everyone, thank you for joining us as part of our Homegrown series. We are joined with Leigh, who is based in New Zealand and down in Canterbury. So if no one knows where that is, if you're listening outside of New Zealand, it's down the bottom of the South Island.
Not quite the bottom.
Well, mid-range. So around the Christchurch would be considered Canterbury, so in the outer regions of that. Yep. And Sal is a mum, and she is also the creator of Leigh Development. And from what I understand, this supports purpose-driven businesses to grow and succeed by providing responsiveness, high quality expertise and support without the hassle or expense of engaging a permanent staff member or large agency, which sounds amazing. And we will of course hear more about that shortly. And I'm looking forward to it. But before I guess we do get into it, Sal, thank you so much for joining me today to I guess share a bit about your story, not only in your business, but also, life as a mum and, how you, I guess, kind of got to the point you are today. And the purpose of the series is to be able to showcase that you are what I would say, a normal everyday woman out there chasing her dreams, being a champion of the change that she wanted to see, and showcase that to other women or men out there that may follow these these interviews as part of our series. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Now, enough from me. I will hand this over to you. So to get started, I would love it if you could share with us a little bit about yourself, not only, of course, your business, but a bit of background about who you are, as well as how, I guess, you started the business that you've got.
Okay. Kia ora. I am Sal. How old am I now? I'm 39. God, that makes me feel old. I'm the mum of 2 under 5. So I've got Darcy, who is 4, and Jonty, who is not quite 18 months old. Long sought after babies and full on, so they are definitely making up for lost time without them. My business is accidental. It's not something I ever set out to do. In fact, I actively fought having a business for a really long time. My background is in educating people on compliance and regulations. So for a long time I worked in government, across government, educating business owners, not-for-profits, startups, and also going backwards, people who'd been doing it for a long time but never knew what they didn't know, got themselves into trouble, so fixing them up. I guess it was policy, legislative education that I did. So I worked for our tax department for 13 years.
Wow.
Long time. After the earthquakes in Canterbury, I ended up working for an agency called Recover Canterbury, which was actually the first of its kind in New Zealand, not least because of the earthquakes, but it was actually the first public-private partnership, so government and public sector businesses joining forces. And I spent just shy of 2 years supporting businesses to redevelop themselves post-earthquake. A lot of the businesses I dealt with were impacted negatively. They were central city and their market had gone, or they were red zone businesses and their market had gone. So these were people who had, for whatever reason, been accidental business as well. They had started something up after an idea and the customers had come in, but then earthquakes happened and their market went and they had no idea. They had no strategies, they had no coping mechanisms. A lot of them didn't have insurance. And they were very short on futures, like their hope just wasn't there. In a lot of cases, it was a simple fix. They were obviously successful businesses beforehand, so they had the ability. They just needed a helping hand. So I spent a lot of time working across sector to support these businesses, and then I went back to my happy life. We were central city in the Christchurch before the earthquakes, and we remained there for a while afterwards, but then a bit of stress got to us post Christchurch. Post earthquake, Christchurch was a very different place, and we ended up farming. So that's where we still are. Yeah, a little bit different. We went an hour and a half south of Christchurch and we lived there for a couple of years. I commuted back to Christchurch 122 k's a day. yeah, that was a pretty full-on period. And then I transferred down to Timaru, which is 2 hours south of Christchurch, and I did that for 12 months. At that point, I thought, no, I can't do this anymore. So I quit, and I went and worked in a bank. Same but different. Risk management, customer service, still educating in business. Enjoyed it, didn't love it. Wasn't quite for me. By that stage, I was pregnant, and as I went off and had my baby, I took my first 12 months of maternity leave, and then I left. I didn't see myself going back and spending an hour each day in the car with a child and basically getting her out of bed, getting to work, coming home, putting her to bed. There was no quality time for us. There was no life. So, yeah, that was the end of my corporate days, and that was the start of me freelancing for people. Um, so I knew I wanted to do something to support people with my skill set, but I didn't know what that was. So I just filled in contracts. If somebody needed a hand, I can help you. I'm that person. Pick me. And I had quite a few of the people that I contracted to saying to me, "You've got skills. Why don't you do this as a business?" No, my skills are there because I've been employed and I have learnt through business. I haven't paid for my education, so it's not right to charge people. But I keep getting requests, and I'd been asked to volunteer as a business mentor with Business Mentors New Zealand, and I've done that quite happily for a few years. But there was a lot of volunteer work. There was a lot of work being done by me, and no money coming back in for me. So eventually, I listened to people, and I set up my business. And Leigh Development was officially formed 2 years ago. I've been doing the work for the last 5 years, but yeah, for 2 years now I've been paid, which is nice. I still do,
Helps pay the
I
bills.
still do. It does, and there's a huge difference. You and I were talking before about the importance of insurance, and for me that's one thing I need to make sure I've had it. So I've always been paying for this insurance, but not actually had the money to pay for it. So it's nice to actually be able to cover that bill now. And I guess that's the premise of my business. Is I didn't want to be in business. I didn't want to be charging people for something that I had learnt without having to pay for. So I make sure that my purpose is actually to support other people's purposes. I do affordable business support for the purpose-driven organisations. So that's your impact enterprises, your social enterprises, and the difference between the two. The social enterprise is one who usually donates a portion of income or time to a cause. An impact enterprise is usually one that sets out to make a difference in the world, and they might do that in having an environmental focus on their business. So both can be very profitable, but they have got that purpose of making sure that they're looking after people or planet as their purpose. I also look after not-for-profits and charities, and I run a charity on the side as well. So that's
all
really
your
important
spare
to me.
time.
I've got so much spare time. So yeah, so it's purpose-driven support. So that could be anything from business coaching. I've got one social enterprise client who is incredible, and I'm so in awe of the fact that she thinks that I support her, because all I really do is I'm that ear. She can call me anytime and bounce things off me. We talk about anything and everything. So it could be family life or it could be business life, but it all comes down to the fact that she's got this incredible purpose, and she doesn't have anybody that she actually employs to tell her that she's doing things right or doing things wrong. She just needs somebody to quiet her inner voice. So I provide her that support.
Who's this one?
This one would be Jonty, who has, oh God, the state of her. She's been outside with Dad, but obviously decided to sneak away.
It's like, no, I want to come on here. Good morning,
Yeah,
Jonty.
that's a kia ora. Oh, there's someone there. And this is part of difficult life with a home business kids. You've got to stop. It takes a long time to get what I've done.
Yes, I can imagine. Sorry.
Okay.
So you spoke a little bit about the Christchurch, like the impact of the Christchurch earthquakes, which were astronomical. I went down to Christchurch just as Christchurch started to rebuild, and the city was full of the containers, and it was a very different place compared to obviously what it was. So I guess for you, it wouldn't have just been helping these businesses move forward. It would have been a massive emotional, helping people's lives move forward, because that was not only did businesses fall down, houses fell down, and and that would have been a really big project.
Yeah, it was, and that's a big part of why we moved. So I talked about the stress that got to it. My husband and I lived and worked in the city centre. I worked across from the CTV building, and I watched that fall down. And I still,
Wow.
yeah, I still haven't processed that, and I don't know if I will ever process that. Your brain has three responses in situations, and one of those is distraction, or denial. And so for me, I think that my brain has just shut that part off, and I don't know if I will ever. Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever remember that, but I do remember talking to my mum straight after the earthquake had happened to say that I'd seen buildings fall down, so this earthquake was more strong, but it was okay because I could see people climbing on the buildings. Well, obviously they weren't, and it wasn't. And yeah, a lot of what I do is that emotional support for people, and you can't help but take that on. And after just shy of 2 years, and I'm really sorry about this.
No, this is real life.
I know. Yeah, so I'm just going to move this just a wee moment. I'm just dropping down because somebody wants feeding, and so this is my reality. This is what life is. I type away tappy tap while I'm feeding a child. So yeah, after 20 months of taking on a lot of that emotional support for businesses, I broke. You can't take that level of responsibility on without actually it impacting you.
Yeah.
So I had a husband who was developing post-traumatic stress disorder and struggling to cope around people, and I couldn't support him anymore because I couldn't support me anymore.
Yeah.
So we left before either of us had a breakdown. We left the city, and it wasn't that we wanted to get out of Christchurch. We did. It was that we actually physically could not cope, or we wouldn't exist as people anymore. We wouldn't be who we were. So farming provided that outlet for us. I'm very much a people person. I love to be around people, but I don't want to be talking all the time. I just need to be surrounded. So I stayed working corporate life. And it's been my hardest thing as a mum, is actually not having the people around me. But I get enough exposure through my business to still feel that need. Whereas Chris is just, the cows are enough for him. He's alone a lot of the time. So he's got a good support network around him and the people that he works with. But he actually gets to be outside for a job and to enjoy nature. So that fills his bucket.
Cool. So like a complete lifestyle change, like obviously came from some not so great events, but gave you both the opportunity to go, well, what's actually really important to us, and what do we need to do to help ourselves move forward? And it's not currently working here for whatever reason, so let's go and and do something different, and we'll work it out along the way, which you've obviously done.
Yep, very much so. And it's and I'm a big believer, and I've always said to people, if you don't love what you're doing, change it. If you don't like your job, it's the wrong job. Love what you do, otherwise what's the point? You spend most of your life in your job, so why wouldn't you get out and actually try and find something you do? And I realize that that's a really privileged thing to say, because some people just can't. But if you have control over that, go and chase your destiny. Do what you need to do. And the universe is obviously telling me that I needed to be doing what I'm doing, because I'm doing it. It's not what I ever wanted to do. It's not what I set out to do, but I've realized I'm good at it. And so I'm doing it.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Now, you also spoke about something quite interesting in terms of you took something that you'd never studied and you had great experience in, and you turned it into a business, and you really struggled with the mindset around that, and being paid for it, and being paid and reward as handsomely or deserving of what you were going to bring in. Now, I really resonate with this. I also have been through this journey. I was a coach in corporate, wanted to go out on my own, and then was like, oh, but am I really good? There is a bit of a disconnect. And I work with a lot of people who are the same. They're working in corporate jobs. They either don't like what they're doing and they want to go do something else, or a lot of them do love what they're doing and they want to go out and they want to make their own business out of it for more freedom and flexibility. They're at the age where they're going, what is my, if I want to have kids, how's this going to work? or I've got kids now, I don't want to go back into that. How do I, create something that I'm really good at and that I really love? And how do I turn that into my own business? However, I'm struggling with the mindset. So do you have any advice for those people out there that are on the path of taking their corporate job to contract or freelance or set up their own business to do something fairly similar? How would you recommend that they kind of help themselves turn that mindset into appreciating that they are great at what they do and they deserve to be doing it?
Yeah, get yourself a mentor. That's the number one thing. And a client calls me a mentor. I don't believe I am, because she pays me. I'm her coach. I'm her support. I am not a mentor. To me, there's a big difference between paying for a mentor or paying for a coach, because if you're putting money out there, they're coaching you. They're giving you what you want. It might not be what you want to hear, but they're giving you what you want. Whereas you've got a mentor, that person could be a friend that you respect in business. It could be an auntie that has been incredibly successful. It could be somebody that you've paid for a service, like business mentors, because there's a registration fee. Some people still need to pay to run a service, but you're not paying them an hourly rate so that they come in when, if it suits you. You're paying for the support of a person who has experience in whatever it is. It may not be the same industry that you want to be in. They've got life experience, they've got business experience, they've got know-how, but most important, they've got an unabashed ability to be honest with you and have you bounce ideas off them, and for them to say, sorry, Sal, that's a really shit idea. Or, oh my God, that's brilliant, but you need to tease it out. I guess it would be if you've got an idea and you know it's great, and they're like, great, what are you going to do about it? What happens if this comes in? They're the person who gets you thinking, who makes you question yourself, who makes you doubt yourself, but doesn't let you go away full of that same doubt. Get a mentor. Always get a mentor, so you can bounce something off somebody else, and so that you can tease out your idea and know that you're doing it right.
Yep.
Don't set yourself up for failure.
Awesome. Love it. I think what you've really highlighted there is, don't just stop and wait for your brain to change.
No.
You have to start moving forward, because it's the only way.
Yeah.
It's through action that you will start to believe. I think the quote is, action precedes clarity, but you don't have to go on the path by yourself. In fact, I'm like you, no one should, because you don't know what you don't know, and you can go off into random directions for absolutely no reason. But have someone as a support network for you to be able to help guide you. And even if they don't know what it is you want to do, there are elements of business which are very similar, like a research phase, like a marketing phase, like a selling phase. And, they can ask you the questions that are relevant for, have you thought about this? And have you thought about that? They might not know the answers either, but at least they can get you thinking about what you need to know ahead of time and how to run a business, I guess. And it starts to shift that perspective from, oh, I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And your business is always going to evolve, and it's always going to change, and your pricing last year is not going to be the same as your pricing next year, and your services aren't going to be the same. And 2 years ago, when I officially said, right, that's it, I am doing it, Leigh Development was going to be, well, actually it was Leigh Development Services. It was going to be me doing pricing for people, setting out strategies for people. It was me doing documents. And part of that still is me. But it's evolved to me coaching and spending a lot more time talking to people, and have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And then me giving them those pathways of actually documenting it so they can go and do it themselves. It's concept-wise, it's still the same, but output-wise, it's very different.
Yeah.
You're going to evolve, because that's human nature. And whether you're the person who goes and learns by studying, or whether you're the person who goes and learns by doing, you need to do what is right for you in order to be the person you want to be, and to have the business and provide the impact you want to be.
Yep.
So I guess it's just, don't leave that idea back here. Tease it out. Talk to somebody who's going to support you to do and be who you want to be.
Yeah. And as you said there, either study or get started, or do both. I know for myself, I left corporate and I had great experience, but I didn't have coaching, qualification. So I went, okay, well, I'll go and get some of that, and then that will be part of the business journey. because at least it's another tool in my belt. And, you know, some people do it differently and that's cool. But,
Yeah.
you know, if you want to study, then do it. Just have some way to move forward. If you want to move forward and study later, then do that. And if you want to do both, then go and do both. Like whatever's going to work for you and whatever you need.
Yeah, but don't do it on your own.
Yes. Yeah.
There is no need to be on your own, and do it the way that it suits you best. If that means that you get a coach, or if that means you join an incredible network like She Owns It, or if you go and do NLP, you know, just what works for you, because we are so individual and there is no one space that is going to be the right way for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mix it
Awesome.
up.
Yeah. So you're obviously a very busy woman and you've got your business, you've got your husband, you're on the farm, you've got 2 gorgeous kids. So what would a typical day look like for you?
Oh my gosh, my day starts usually with a tap on the face by this one, about 5:45. That's usually the start of my day. And then I get up, I get the other one up, plonk them in front of the TV if I've got stuff to do. Yeah, don't say you'll never put your kids with screen time, because you will. Whatever way it is, you will. I go and get them some breakfast, and I'll either, while they're doing that, I'll have coffee and check up on any urgent messages from clients or emails. I'll schedule some social media posts. What will I do? I'll check that my day is, I'll get it started the right way. So I try to get my reading out of the way while they're having their time before this sets in. Because once this sets in, it's very hard to get back on track again.
Playtime.
Oh yeah, sleep time. This is just this time of day, or a snacker. If I've got meetings with clients, they tend to happen 2 or 3 times a week. So Tuesdays and Wednesdays are my best days because they're my husband's days off. I try to get my biggest work out in the morning, because that's out in the afternoon, kids. Yeah, kids. So the afternoons are usually set doing, I'm usually looking at opportunities for clients, because of the sector that I work in. There's a lot of fundraising and grant seeking, sponsorship opportunities I'm looking for clients, or I'm writing out their pathways. I do a bit of HR work, so I'm always reading information that I need to know that's relevant to their businesses, and whether that is an employment law change, or whether that's because a funder has changed their criteria recently. There's a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of assimilating that information so that it can be relayed to wherever it is. So that takes me through to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it's time to kind of shut off. After that, any reading I do is incidental. I'm in mum mode fully by 3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm noisy, she's going to go to sleep.
And if you talking, Mum, I'm just going to sleep right here.
Pretty much. There's a lot of time I spend on the phone as well. I do have a lot of phone calls after sort of 3 o'clock, which is an interesting time of day. I'm in mum mode and the kids are around and I'm cooking dinner, but I can chat. So I guess working mum life, I don't have set business hours. I do when I will respond to emails. I've got different levels of client support, and some of my clients can contact me anytime. They respect me enough to not contact me anytime, but they can contact me on weekends, because my days off, if my kids have something on, that's it. I'm not work time, and I usually let people know in advance of that. And it works. Yeah, it's a pretty good balance actually. It's taken us a while, but we get there.
Yeah. Nice. So really, you've made it work for you, I guess.
Yeah.
And, you know, living that flexibility, but also knowing, you know, what you need and also what your family needs and what your business needs. And I guess, you know, there's a lot of ball juggling at the same time by the sounds of things, as we all do. So, yeah.
Yeah, there is. And I guess my thing is that I've got 2 minis that come first for me. And there's other working parents do too. It's just that I don't ever get to leave.
Yes.
I don't get to escape to an office.
You're on the farm, you can't really go to anywhere.
It takes a while.
Oh, I love it. So what would you say has been your biggest challenge, I guess, you know, over the last 2 years of setting your business up, having a young family, like what would be the biggest challenge that you've kind of faced, and maybe even had you questioning, can I really do this?
Oh, do you know, it's mindset, and it will always be mindset. I'm still I still have that challenge right now. I have days where I'm like, oh my God, do you think that they'll know that I actually don't know what I'm doing? And I know what I'm doing. I know I'm good at what I do, but I never stop doubting myself because there are some incredible people out there. The difference, I think, is that perhaps these other people are less inclined to be real. They've got their work persona, whereas I'm always me. This is I'm a mum. This is part of my day. My clients expect me to turn up with my kids. If I sign a new client, they're told straight out that my kids are there and they're going to come first. And if they're okay with that, then we can move forward. And if they're not okay for that, then I'm not their best person, but I'll put them in touch with somebody who I think would be. I don't get to separate that part of my life because we made a decision for me not to go back to a corporate job. Family's very important to me, and I need clients that understand who I am as much as I'll try to understand who they are. So it's mindset. If I can't get out of my own head, I don't know if I ever will. So I always think I'm perhaps a bigger fraud than I am. No matter what, you always question yourself on some level.
Which I think is just humanity. I think we all have that. And, especially I think, it's a thing in business is that we always think that people know what they're doing. And when you have a business, you learn that you are literally learning along the way and moving. You don't 100%. Know the path ahead of you. It's a journey, just like anything. And, it's like, okay, well, I need to get to the next stepping stone, but I don't know how to get there. And I'm going to make this look like I've totally got this under control, but really I've got no idea. And it's not until I get there that I go, right, this worked, that didn't. How would I, what would I give advice to others on how they could, I guess, navigate their way through that. So.
And it's the same. I mean, I have a mentor as well. So I've got somebody I can always bounce ideas off, and it's been my lifesaver. It's been the person who's actually stopped me questioning myself most of the time. I mean, I never 100% do, but she validates the fact that actually this was the right way to go down, or that it wasn't the right way to go down. So it's that mindset. You've got to get out of your own head. And I have that fear that if I put myself out there, what happens if I'm not chosen? You know what? It's not the end of the world. Bada boom, bada bing. It's accept it, move on. And if you can't move on, perhaps it wasn't the right path for you in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that you've got such a wealth of knowledge to help both startups and those initially kind of breaking into a market, or those that are on their path but are feeling a bit like, oh gosh, I don't know if this is going to move for me. But I think I'd really love to know what would be one key piece of advice that you would give to, let's say, a mum out there who's wanting to start a business, move away from corporate, or from a part-time or a full-time income, and spend more time with their loved ones or their little kids, and be there and actually be present instead of just when they're asleep. What would be your advice to them starting out in their own business in today's world?
Get a business plan, map it out. And I see a lot of people make that mistake actually with the business plan. They get it and they think that there's this format they've got to follow, and it's got to be 16 pages long, and it's got to have the financials on it. And oh my God, that's so scary because I don't know that right now. It's bullshit. You just need a napkin with something written on it. What's your business plan? What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? What steps do you need to make the first part of that happen right now? And then follow it. Your business plan is a fluid document. So write it on that napkin. And next week, get a new napkin. Keep all of the napkins. We're not throwing these out. We're going to file them, and you're going to look back on them as time goes on, because you want to be able to see in 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, how far you've come from that original plan. But plan it. Plan for failure. What's going to happen if? Plan for success, and that's going to be the one that you're going to chase and achieve. Plan it, map it all out, but it doesn't need to be a 16-page financial document. No one's going to read that except you. If your bank asks for it, then you do it.
I don't know if I would read it. I would put it together and go, well, that was a waste of my day, because when am I ever going to read that ever again?
And stress, that's it. You are going to read it again. You're going to look back at it, but only to celebrate how far you've come, or to go, oh my God, that was such a dumb idea. Why did I think I could do that one? But you need to be able to celebrate those successes and the failures, You need to be able to celebrate how far you've come, how much you've grown. If a bank asks you for a business plan with financials, address that then. But the reality is most people are not going to go out and borrow money without anything to back them. And a bank's not going to lend you money without anything to back you. Um, your mentor can help you on that. A coach can help you on that. There are so many professionals out there who can support you. Just write it down and write your steps down.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
And
was a
I
really
think,
long answer.
no, it's a great answer. But I think as well, what you've just said there, I just want to touch on with business plans and numbers is like, it's great to have a goal in terms of, okay, if I sell 5 of this item, like this is what I want to do, or whatever my goal is, and to set that goal, but understand that this may or may not happen, and you cannot attach to that happening. You're in a business. It takes, realistically, they say 3 to 5 years. I'm going to put my hand up and say, I actually agree with that number. Even though when I first started, I was like, I'm going to prove that number wrong. It's like, no, it actually takes time because you're going into a completely new arena that you know nothing about. You know, it is scary. We all feel fear. We all take steps forward, take steps back. It's like tipping your toe in water. And you don't have any evidence to back up what your sales numbers could be. So if you go into a new business and you put massive pressure on yourself to, let's say, replace a corporate job income 100, 150K or something in the space of 6 months, your heart and soul is going to be devastated if you don't hit those numbers. But what you do find, as you said, is like write it down and then you can reflect back on it. So after 6 months of business, cool, what happened here? 12 months, okay, now we've got some numbers to actually go off moving into a second year. Second year, oh, look, there's a common trend. School holiday time, I'm really busy. My numbers go down. I need to think about that moving forward. And there, I guess, feedback for you to stay on track and grow. And then you can create, you know, these magical bloody business plans that have got all these fancy numbers. But from my experience, it's like, you know, my first year I had one of those fancy numbered things and it's like, but where did you even get these numbers from? Like, they're just your expectation. But, you know, so keep an eye on them, but don't, you know, you don't have to bloody think that it has to happen, because, you know, you will face more challenges than what you expect and you will learn a lot and then be like, oh, that's why I couldn't do 20 of that one item or get 20 clients in my first month of being in business, because I had all this learning to do before we got to that point.
Yeah, I had a client who recently called me up on something I used to say a lot. So we'll stick a number up and we'll call it pie in the sky and we'll do whatever. I'm just like, why do you keep talking about me dreaming out of my scope? Because you are. And I'm not meaning that in a negative. But you don't know the answer until you go. So it's always going to be that pie in the sky. You're always going to be dreaming higher, setting a goal, and then reflecting back. Was it realistic? Was it accurate? Did you reach it? Did you not? Why not? Reset.
Yeah.
Pie in the sky. Always aim for what you don't know. Aim high and then reset yourself.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're anything like a lot of women, and myself included, when you go for the pie in the sky, if you don't get to the pie in the sky, we do not beat ourselves up over not reaching the pie in the sky. We analyze it, as you said, what worked, what didn't, is it realistic? Maybe, you know, do I keep it that? Do I keep, you know, and adjust and pivot, minus the I'm a terrible person and I should give up because I couldn't hit that one thing that I didn't even know how to get there in the first place.
Yeah. But if you didn't write it down, how do you even know whether it was going to work or not? You've got nothing to reflect back on. So that's why that plan is so important.
Absolutely.
It doesn't need to be detailed. It just needs to be documented.
Yep, I completely agree. And Sal, you know, a part of this series is to talk about champions of change. You know, the wonderful women that I have had the honor of meeting and interviewing, you know, all kind of forging their own path, so to speak. And, you know, starting businesses, growing businesses. A couple later on are talking more from a faith base, so not necessarily having their own business, but doing work aligned to their faith and whatever that looks like to them. But, you know, I guess wanting to be a part of change, whatever that looks like for them in their lives and potentially beyond it. So for you, like, what would being a champion of change kind of mean to you? Or what does being a champion of change mean to you?
Oh gosh, and I guess it's the same thing I'm saying to all my clients all the time. You've got to be the change. That's it. If you've got an idea, then it doesn't matter how far-fetched it is, you go and chase it. I look at one of my clients, Kimberly from My Cup. She's got a background as a dental nurse, a school dental nurse, and then her business is signs. So she has been a graphic designer after being a dental nurse. And then one day she tried a menstrual cup, and that changed her life so much that she decided that she was going to go and change everybody else's lives. And we're 4 years later, she is bloody changing lives. That woman, based on one experience, went and did research and development, and she manufactured New Zealand's first menstrual cup. But that wasn't enough. She needed to go and fight period poverty. So she's doing that. She is, far-fetched. I mean, how far-fetched can you go from being a dental technician to a graphic designer to a manufacturing to an eco-warrior powerhouse? She's bloody doing it. Nothing is out of your reach. If you have an idea, if you have a concept, no matter whether it's out of your skill set, you can do it. You just need to surround yourself with the right people. Find the experts. They'll help you put it into play. Champion your own change. You are the master of your own destiny, no matter how hard that might seem. No matter how many times you want to give up, if you've got the right people around you, you can champion whatever change you want to do.
Awesome. I love that. What a great story that is too, just proving that
Right?
you may start here and you never really know where you're going to end up and what you're going to be doing. And, and that's life, and business is
Yep.
exactly the same. You mentioned it earlier, business evolves over time. It is never just, this is what it's going to look like forever. It is a journey. It moves, it grows. It's like a organism all on its own. It's like an ecosystem. And that's awesome, because you just never know. When you take the first step, you take the second step, and you never worry where the third and the fourth and the fifth are going to come. Just start walking towards it.
You've got to take that first step. If you don't do that, you're never going to succeed.
Yeah.
So success might be rocky, but you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. So my final question for you would be, for anyone that has watched or listened, to our time together, and they really resonate with you or what you do, and they either would love to reach out, just to ask for some advice. Maybe they're starting a business, maybe they're juggling kids as well, or maybe they're looking to work with someone with your skill set to be able to help guide them on their path. How would people go about reaching out to you?
So the easiest way right now would be to do that. Find my Facebook page. It's Leigh Development, and Leigh is Leigh. I've got the name you need to spell. So I'm Sal Leigh, but I'm Sal SEL and Leigh Leigh. So Leigh Development. My phone number's on there. My email is on there, and eventually my website will be on there, because that's still sitting there because I have mindset fear problems. It's there, but I haven't made it live because what if nobody clicks on it? So you can be successful and still struggle. But yeah,
You
find
should
me on
just
Facebook, reach out.
click live and see what happens.
The amount of people that say that, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So thank you so much for being so real with us throughout our time together, really showcasing who you are, not only talking about business and your amazing experience and, the challenges that you have faced and continue to face, but also as a mum, and, really showcasing that I am a mum first, and this is what my life looks like. And, our time together, it speaks volumes for who you are, and that you actually really walk your talk. And that's a really amazing thing.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, and thank you for sharing that with all of us, to reach, whether that be one person or 1,000 or 100,000 women out there that are wanting to go and chase their dream, but for whatever reason, giving themselves a story that they can't. Thank you for really showcasing, well, you can, you just have to start and find someone to help you along the way.
Yeah, there are people out there that will uplift you, support you along the way. You just need to find your tribe, I guess. I
Yep.
hate that, but you do.
Yep. And, and that can take some time. Like, for anyone else out there thinking that you're just going to go find them instantly, and it's, even if you reach out for a mentor or for a coach or anyone to support you in your business, it doesn't always happen the first time. You may want to talk to 5 people, 10 people, so that you know that you
And
make
you
it.
should.
Absolutely. Like, talk to as many people, do your research, because that person or people that you pull into your tribe is going to be helping you move forward. And It is an important decision. I relate business to relationships. I say, if you're going to have someone that you're going to marry, it is unlikely going to be the person that you walk out and meet at the supermarket and say hello to and then go, oh, now we're going to go get married. You're likely to have aligned your values with someone else's and know that it's going to be a successful partnership, or hope that, give it the best shot. And I really believe it's the same in business.
Yeah, absolutely. And you shouldn't ever feel obliged either. You might have called somebody that you think is going to coach you, and they quote you an astronomical price, or you just don't gel. Don't follow through. Don't tell them you're going to follow through. Don't feel you have to, because holy shit, this is your life, not theirs.
Yeah.
Go shop around. Ask some questions.
Thank you so much. And this has been great. And I really hope that people do take the time to reach out to you, because I've loved hearing about your story. I can relate to so much of it, and I'm sure that there'll be others out there that do. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lou. That's been awesome chatting. We'll catch up again soon.
Yes. Have a great day.
Andrew, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.